side of a tree. I fall for love and now I got a disease. Fire burning off and on in these trees. Sometimes I would feel like I can never do it all on my own, but I couldn't give you enough of me.
Welcome to Girls on Film with Chapman Radio.
Follow us on our socials at Girls on Film Radio. Hello, everyone.
Hey guys, this is a weird episode.
We're
just
trying
off
some
off
new
the bat.
stuff, We've learned that there's new tech in the studio, i.e., we have a 360
New tech, i.e.,
camera.
literally live streaming on YouTube, which has been around for forever. But this is the first time we're trying it.
So if you're interested in watching us as we're talking, have this conversation, you can go to Chapman Radio's YouTube, which is just at
we're live
Chapman
streaming
Radio.
right now. It's Girls on Film episode 6.
We're literally figuring it out as you guys are watching. So
So-
if there's any difficulties, any tech stuff that malfunctions, it's not our fault. It's all a learning
It
experience.
is working. I'm listening to it on my phone. You can hear us.
And
I
then
promise.
not only that, but also if you're a chat maniac, if you're a student, if you know someone who goes here, you know the stress that's happening between all the students in that it's housing selection right now.
Yes, it is housing selection week. Thankfully, Maddie had a really early housing slot last Friday, and so we were able to get the housing that we wanted. But we thought our episode's based around the fact that the studio is right outside the housing selection spot. So if we turn to our right, we can see a bunch of people getting in line to choose their housing. Yeah. That's really funny.
So crazy.
But yeah, this is a test run episode for the YouTube live streaming. We'll be perfecting it. But
yeah, that's why we never made like an official announcement that
yeah,
we were
'cause
doing
we didn't know we could do it.
Yeah.
And we also had like 5 minutes to set up because people go overtime on their shows when they're not supposed to.
Not to shade anybody, but there's just a lot of new moving parts that are going on today. So, but
Our episode today is really fun.
yeah,
We pushed back the Euphoria episode again.
but it's all right because we needed some time to prepare.
Yes.
But also because we're kind of, again, it's almost the same energy that's kind of going on right now is how it was when we were moving in. Like the
Yes.
anticipation of what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So because of that, this episode's going to be about films, about college, about high school, adolescence, that
Yes.
sort of thing.
And I think it's perfect that we're literally in the studio right next to where people are choosing literally where they're going to be living for a whole year.
It's very Hunger Games.
It was Hunger Games. I wrote my notes is Hunger Games.
No, it really is. It's cutthroat because you have no other choice because
Yeah.
you were put in this position
Yeah.
randomly.
And then I'm writing an article for my English class, to be honest, about the housing selection process because the fact that it's mandatory for freshmen and sophomore to live on campus, yet they let seniors and juniors pick first, and then
Mhm.
they force you to live on campus even though the on-campus options are literally like miles away from
Exactly.
campus, which is not on campus, whatever. But
Mhm.
we're going to be talking about films and TV shows about high school and college life, I guess, the vibes. But I wanted to make a point going into this first to keep in mind.
Yes.
For all of our listeners, keep a tally. I have a really nice, interesting emoji ranking system
Yeah.
on our notes sheet. Things to keep in mind. We're going to go through high school first, and then we're going to go through the college stuff first. Keep in mind how many comedies there are versus dramas. So how many comedic shows that are very much humorous versus extremely dramatic, like, deep, heartfelt dramas. Keep that in mind. How many of them depict really unique situations? My perfect example is The Social Network and how not everyone can invent Facebook in college.
Yeah.
Oops. How many of them depict extremely unique situations versus like average lives of people?
Yeah.
And then also, in the end, you'll see there are many more serious shows about high school than there are about college.
Yeah.
There's not as many college shows that are, depicting not like your average people, but in like serious lives, if that makes sense. It'll make sense once we go through that.
Yeah. Before we get into it, Izzy and I both ended up at Dodge at Chapman together. But what kind of kid were you in high school? Just to
Theater kid.
preface, I
A
know.
Theater kid. Was that a Target? Was that a targeted event?
No, I'm just wanting to preface because the list comparing the college to high school films, that there's just like more for high school in general.
Yeah.
So just to make a basis for, because
Yes.
everyone kind of gets a sense of who we are right now because we're in college. What were you like in high school? What was the high school vibes?
Well, I pretty much was only doing theater. Like I literally was a theater's
But what kind
girl.
of school did you go to?
Oh, an
Like-
arts high school. Like
Yeah.
very, very art driven. You still did academics, but to me, like the things that I relate to are literally High School Musical and Camp Rock. Like those are the things to me that I find relatable, but it's different for everyone. I tried to be non-biased. What kind of high school kid were you, Maddie? Like grungy, emo,
No,
punk
it was
rock,
okay.
queen?
See, we were both in two very different high school environments because I grew up going to Catholic private school,
Oh,
and then
yes, we've talked
my
about
high
this.
school was a Catholic all-girls school. So it stark difference, but I was involved consistently with journalism throughout high school, so that's what got me into like exploring like a different kind of writing outside of just pure academic like essays and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But literally, I tried doing everything in high school. I ran for different positions on like
I
student
think you
council.
say I ran track.
No, I didn't win any of them. I like auditioned for this one dance team, having no dance experience, just to see.
Girl
Did
boss.
not make it.
Maddie Ziegler.
No, literally. And then I was like, president of Animal Rights Club because Miss Vegetarian Queen. But
That's so funny.
consistently, I was in journalism. Whether I was like,
We didn't record the episode on Adobe Audition. Oopsies.
well, that's because someone's show went overtime. and
Maddie,
we didn't
carry
have
on
the
while
time.
I start recording our episode.
Yeah, but yeah, continuing on about who I was in high school. Yeah, both Izzy and I explored our creative endeavors in high school, whether it be because Izzy was in an environment that kind of fostered that. I did journalism throughout high school, as I had said, whether it be me being a staff writer as my sophomore year, and then an editor my junior year, and then like a assistant editor in chief senior year. But that's kind of what got me into wanting to do film and exploring this kind of stuff, was because I kind of learned through school that while I was interested in writing, I was not interested in purely academic writing. So majoring in English perhaps, or doing journalistic writing, because narcissistically enough, I felt that journalistic writing did not satisfy my creative my desire to be creative. I thought it focused too much on me, like talking about other people's stories, whereas I just had so much stuff to say about myself that I wanted to become a screenwriter. But
The system is being funky today, so I don't know if this episode is going to end up recording because it's saying someone else's episode is recording. People, don't stay late for your Chapman radio shows.
it's all right because I recorded this. I recorded the live stream, so we'll have that. So we'll figure out somehow to get the audio from this YouTube live stream, and then hopefully we'll be able to post that on Spotify. But if not, you should be tuning into the live stream if you want your Girls on Film content. But getting into the episode, because everything's kind of acting a little bit funky, as Izzy said, there's many more high school films and shows than there are in depicting college life, which is very interesting, seeing that a majority of like actors who are playing these high school characters are like college age and older. What is this?
What I write?
Huh? What is this interest and desire to see like young adolescents, not even like college adolescents? I don't know, but I don't know. Do you want it to? Oh, Izzy's coming back.
Hey guys, I think I figured it out. Someone's episode was still like downloading, but that doesn't happen usually, so I don't know. Sorry guys, I think it's recording now. Who knows? If
Yeah,
you're
we'll
listening to it
see.
live, you get the inside scoop.
Yeah, you get the episode. Other
You
people know.
get the episode. But no, I wanted to go back to the high school like opinion thing, because I mean like our
Yeah.
high school lives. I mean, I went to a really great high school, but I think it's just like I didn't go to one with a big football team.
Me
I didn't
too.
go to one with, a lot of like, I guess what you would see in like normal high school movies, like, athletics, academia is like the center. It was very much all art focused. So I think I
Yeah.
had like a very, what's the word, secluded opinion of
Yeah,
the world.
like
but
an
also,
isolated.
but
kind of
also
thing.
like we were all, loving of each other. And that doesn't usually, I don't know, happen at bigger high schools and stuff like that. So I don't know. I went to a really great high school, but I think my opinions are definitely like more concentric.
Yeah, it's interesting enough because in going into this episode and talking about high school films and shows, the only way that both Izzy and I kind of got the all-encompassing, like, quote-unquote high school experience was through watching these things.
That's a great way to put it.
Which is
like
so weird
Yeah.
because we both know that this is not realistic. Most
Yeah.
of these are not realistic at all.
And this goes back to our point where we keep talking about what representation in film and like
Yeah.
if this is the stuff that we're watching and we don't see, accurate depictions of our lives, like we're
Yeah.
seeing a world that's not real.
Yeah, and whether or not we want it to be dramatized so that we can be, live vicariously through the most
Yeah.
interesting, most unique, most like ridiculous stories, then so be it. But if you're gonna argue that you're trying to make something that feels realistic and then it's not, that's where the problem lies.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yes. Okay, so let's get into high school films and TV shows. I separated the list. I
Yeah.
made a ranking system based on comedy, drama, unique situations, and average lives.
Yes.
Obviously, the first one we're going to go to is High School Musical.
That is so good because that's like our earliest experience in
I would
seeing high
say
school.
I'm
for me, at
personally
least.
I'm personally a Camp Rock girly, and so I think those two things are kind of on the same like
Yeah,
scale
you're
of
at the same age.
same genre.
Yeah.
High School Musical was just like that one series that, you know, I think we were too young to have watched it when we were in high school, but I think looking
Yeah.
back on it now, like, especially me going to like a theater high school, that was like
was gonna
everything I
say.
wanted. That was everything I
Yeah.
wanted was, you know, the pretty lockers and like the drama, the summer working together with your friends, and then COVID happened.
Ew, yeah.
And I think there was a trend going around where people would watch like the third High School Musical movie before graduation because everyone got to graduate and throw their caps, and we were like driving by in cars and like
Yeah.
socially distantly graduating. It's one of those iconic things that I think if the generation that missed it now has the new series coming
it's
out,
not the same
it's
because
not the same.
at least at the time that the High School Musical like debuted, it was the early 2000s where the media that was surrounding celebrities was not as accessible as it is
Yeah.
now. So they're not getting the same connection that we had with like Vanessa Hudgens and Zac Efron as
Yeah.
only seeing them as Troy and Gabriella,
Yeah.
where they're literally only seeing Olivia Rodrigo as Olivia Rodrigo. They're
Yeah.
not seeing her as her character
Yeah.
in the show.
Different culture surrounding like separating character versus actor.
Yeah, and I feel like that was like at least for me that was one of like the biggest things was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time that I'm like, because at least at that age I was so intimidated by anyone who was older than me, and this was
Yeah.
like the first time we were kind of seeing
Our age
peop-
on screen, even though
like
they're not.
no, not even that, but like at 6 years old, seeing people who were like 16 or 17 and not being scared of them and not thinking they were
like comfort.
yeah, it was like I'm not seeing them as a full-grown like 40-year-old man. Even though I knew they weren't like 40, the intimidation was still equal for me.
Okay, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. That
Mhm.
definitely makes sense. The next few on this list are
um
okay. The next three: Perks of Being a Wallflower, Lady Bird, and Booksmart. I have these are all sad.
they're all
Um,
sad. At least, yeah.
Well, okay. Perks of Being a Wallflower, one of the best films of all time. If you're
And books of all
books,
time.
if you don't think so, you're wrong. We can't go an episode without talking about Logan Lerman.
yeah.
But The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
It was so poignant
dude.
for being something that's supposed
Yeah.
to be like talking about high school, because again, the fact that this film is of like they're targeting an age that's so like they don't take 16-year-olds seriously is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they don't.
But this, it's so like it's so visceral, like the emotion that you feel when you watch this, especially for the first time and you're not knowing what to expect.
Exactly.
Because every single thing that you see about a 16-year-old, 17-year-old is going to be like, haha, poopy, I like this boy, I like this girl, but they
Yeah.
don't like me back, boo-hoo. This film, Perks, is like so emotionally draining to watch that,
Emotionally draining is a good way to say it.
right? And I think it's like just so surprising and so like not like anything else on the list because it's taking the emotions of someone young seriously, which they do not do at all.
They are trying to do it now. They've done it
They're
a few
trying.
times accurately. But then another
Yeah.
thing I think appeals to me when I read like books or when I watch TV shows is like the quotes that come from it.
yeah.
There's this one
Oh
quote
my
that
God.
Logan Lerman says to Paul Rudd. I call them by their actor
I
names.
forgot he was in that.
It's the why do people date the wrong people? And then Paul Rudd says like we accept the love we think we deserve. And that's like the quote that's
literally
on every
chills.
Pinterest board, every Redbubble sticker, every girl's backpack.
No, or like the scene when they're driving through the tunnel and he's like
Oh
outside
my
the top
God,
of
that's
the roof.
like the cover image of every single like summer playlist.
Exactly, yeah.
I think it's everything that all these other films try to be is like something that is sometimes funny, sometimes serious, but depicts truly like what the anxieties of like a high school kid is.
yeah.
I don't know,
But
it's perfect.
It's no words.
Except that
It's
one
like-
scene.
I
You know the one
No,
scene.
I definitely recognize that I had read it way too young, that I didn't understand it for me.
Oh,
and then
okay.
once I watched it, and then like I saw kind of like the cultural significance of it and like what other people were saying about it, I was like, oh,
You appreciate it more.
yeah, I appreciate it more, especially now.
Yeah. And then Lady Bird, I've never seen it. Sorry.
That's
I wrote it on the. I know.
I need to turn and see some like I'm not. Are you just
I'm not
at
ki- I'm
this
not
point?
kidding.
Are you just not gonna watch it?
To me, like I've made it this far.
That's insane. That's me with like all of the Harry Potter movies.
Oh my God. We talked about this too. But I know that Lady Bird to people is like a, you know.
Okay.
Okay, you can go for it. I will give you permission. Have the stand.
Okay, but
Have
okay,
a stand.
specifically for me, this is like the movie that all of like me included, all of like the indie girls at my high school ate and loved because she is
Did
at
you say 8?
8. Like we all ate it up. Like
Okay.
we ate and loved because Lady Bird, who's played by Saoirse Ronan, because we also can't have an episode without talking about her. It was so relatable for us in specific because she's going to this Catholic school. Our uniforms are exactly what she wears
That makes
in the
sense.
film, and it was
It was
just
actually filmed at your school.
it was literally, and like for it to also be like, I don't know, I just related to it in so many levels, but that's what everybody says. But just in specific, feeling
well,
like
if everybody says it, then it's doing something right.
Yeah,
I don't understand why
exactly.
people are like, oh, you're not unique if you like it. Okay.
no, that's so true though. That is
Okay.
so true though. See, that's yeah, that's actually
I
facts.
nailed it.
But yeah, it's so good at the awkwardness of like not only high school, but like having like your religious morals and like surrounding you in high school and like adolescence. It
Mhm.
also affects how you think and like how you go about different decisions. And then like I love that it also touches on like the maternal relationship you have with your like parents, especially your mom.
Okay.
It was just like my mom literally watched it before me, and then she was like, "You need to watch this," and I was like, "Girl, what do you know about
Girl.
Lady Bird?"
I would say the equivalent of Lady Bird to me is Booksmart. Because to me, Booksmart is about these two girls who are like very studious, very academically driven. They are like, the cream of the crop, president of every club and everything. And then they're graduating and they have like the last exciting night of their lives before
Yeah.
graduating. And I think I missed out on that because I was such like a studious, academic driven student that was like, doing everything in her power to like do the best at class and at like theater and whatever. And then seeing these girls like kind of let go for a night was something I wish I could have done with graduation, except that we weren't allowed to hang out with anyone
Yeah.
because of COVID. So I think to me, that's the like my movie that I see myself in.
Yeah, and
most.
It's one of those things that like it's one of those things that I don't want to think about when I'm not like in the zone of it, but like feeling as if you wasted your time at a certain time in your life. You don't want to think about that because you don't want to, put any focus on something that you can't change anymore.
And I believe that everything happens for a reason. So everything
Yeah,
that
me
happened
too,
has led us
exactly.
to this studio today.
But I love, again, like everything Izzy was saying, and also like just the way that they did it. One of my favorite
The Barbie
scene-
part?
Yes, it's so good and so random.
for
but
context, look up the Barbie part of Booksmart. Pretty much, they
get-
turn into Barbie dolls.
yeah, because they get like
High.
basically get get food that's laced with drugs,
Yeah.
and then they turn into dolls.
They turn into Barbie dolls.
But it's a contemporary one. Like all of these, semi-contemporary, but
Yeah.
Booksmart was the one that has come out most recently.
Yeah.
And the cast is all basically of age, kind of,
I'd
and
say so.
they're not known enough that I'm projecting a different idea of like who the actor is or what other films they're in
Yeah.
onto them. So it's like I'm seeing it as Booksmart only,
Yeah.
and not as any other like, oh, this girl from this is in
Because
that.
I think they were niche enough at that moment to like just be for the purpose of the movie. Like I could
like
same
Kate-
thing I say with watching Timothy Chalamet, where I like
Yeah.
can pretend that he's not Timothy Chalamet. I did that with every single one of these people, which is an accomplishment
Yeah.
because that usually doesn't happen.
Mhm.
Because I will pick out what someone has been in previously in
Exactly.
any movie that I watch. There's a lot on this list.
Mhm.
Okay, I feel like can we move to shows really quickly because there's
Yeah.
a lot more shows that I think
Can
hit
I
our
s-
point.
Yes, I'm so sad that you did not put this, as this
What?
was literally one of my favorite shows.
What did I put?
Victoria.
Oh, see,
That's-
okay, because Victorious is what I thought my high school experience was
I
gonna
was
be
gonna
like.
say, I feel like that would have been more of like a projection more than High School Musical.
Well,
because it
okay.
is an arts high school.
Well, arts high school, but I think high school musical for me was like literally it was just theater, so like that was like the thing for me.
yeah.
But Victorious is like my school was exactly like that. We had an art department, we had a dance department, we had a graphic design department, we had a band department.
That's
but
so
like
cool.
we didn't get painted lockers. That was a high standard that my high school failed because I didn't get to
High School
decorate my
Musical had
lockers.
that too. Well, just for pay, but still.
But I don't know. Victorious is weird.
It's literally the perfect.
I watched a 10-hour video essay on the fail of Victorious, like the
That's-
falling of Victorious.
It's like my favorite show growing up, and then my sister, who is 9 now, which is like around the time that the show came out, loves it too. So it's like me at my big age of almost 20 years old, and my sister, who is literally 9, both relating on how much we love it.
and that's a testament to how funny
How
the show
good
is.
it's because the humor is so bizarre and weird and out of pocket,
Yeah.
and it literally shaped what I find interesting now, which is that a
bad.
good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but Victorious, of all the shows on here, besides the OC, they're literally two of my favorite shows of all time.
So I guess we'll stay on the funny side. Riverdale. I swear I forget that Riverdale is a show, and then every once in a while, Maddie doesn't have TikTok, but every once in a while, a TikTok will come up on my For You page of someone summarizing the most recent episode of it, and literally, they have mind reading powers now. They simply have mind reading powers. There's demons, devils, murderers. I'm telling you, the first season was like good, and then the second season they said, let's have a drag show in the middle of the school, but make it a musical.
Do they have like any gay characters even in the show?
Yes,
okay, at least
they do, but like. It just turned into something else. So I think that's a very bad example of a show about high school.
It's
a show about high school.
The perfect example of like holding on to something for too long. Yeah. But I mean, get your bag, I guess, whatever. But
those actors are signed onto contracts and they can't leave.
Yeah.
I guess this is on the same thing. Like One Tree Hill.
I haven't watched it.
Really?
Mm-mm.
That's a good one.
One Tree Hill.
The same
like
vibes
all
as
of the early 2000s. I was gonna say One Tree Hill and like. I've seen like parts of Degrassi, just
and
like
Secret
clips
Life
on
of an American Teenager.
That was bananas. I remember that came out like when we were super young.
Yes.
So me,
Shailene Woodley was like.
So me, it's like 6 or 7, and seeing this like girl who's like really young be pregnant. I remember was like, that's allowed.
Mouth
like,
drop. Mouth drop.
No,
that's allowed.
Isn't there? Okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but isn't there one line where Shailene Woodley's character is like, oh, like can I say?
Just say it.
She's like, oh, I'm a slut. And then he's like, no, you're my slut.
Oh, yes, that is the line.
That's like the one thing I remember from that because it's so ridiculous. What was that?
I don't know. It was a fever dream. But I think that generation of shows, like, tried to do what The Perks of Being a Wallflower did, where they were, like, super honest and truthful, but, like, sometimes there's murder.
No, that's, that, especially
all these shows
Life of an American
super
Teenager.
honest and truthful, except there's crime.
No, because why?
There's crime and basketball is life. Basketball is life. Basketball is love and life. I would say the complete opposite of the spectrum, which is our next episode. It's going to be our next episode. I'm determined it's going to be Euphoria.
Yeah.
The weird, opinions on if it's accurate or not. Yes.
Like emotionally, maybe, but the events that they put the characters in that cause them to have those emotions, no.
I think it's a conglomeration of like everything that could possibly happen.
Oh, everything that could possibly go wrong with anyone ever. Yeah, I guess.
And what I like about it so far, I mean, diversity-wise, they need to up their game.
Yeah,
but, like,
where's my ABGs?
Personality-wise, like they have all of it. They have the drug addict, they have the football player, they have the pretty girl, they have the fanfic girl, they have the side best friend, they have the creepy mom, they have the helpful mom, they have the
creepy dad.
They have every single trope that is like, I don't know, it just works.
Relevant.
Somehow it works all together.
But I mean, they made a show and they're continuing to make a show that's intriguing and has like a very sturdy audience, which is good for them. But it's one of those concepts, like the show is one of those concepts that it's like the shock factor is what's keeping people like attached to it.
I think the shock factor is going to go away.
I know. I think it has for this season especially because when that first season came out, every makeup look ever was Euphoria. Yeah. Because it was like different. Yeah. But they're just like now holding on to now that they are the show. Visual show.
We're going to talk about this more next week.
Yeah.
You'll get the whole scoop.
That was inside scoop.
inside scoop. What other shows? Oh, Gossip Girl and Pretty Little Liars. This whole thing where there was like a friend group. Haven't watched either of them either. I watched videos.
Yes, because we love Mike's Mike.
Mike's Mike does these analysis videos where he connects all the characters with like string and stuff and like explains the plot of all these shows. But there's also this like genre of show that was friend group, but there's one secret person that sends messages about everyone to the world and posts it on the internet. It was the rise of the internet. I think that was like what the show was.
It's like this was like 2010 to about like 2014, 15, and I think it's like also because it's the rise of the internet. It was also the rise of like everyone kind of like wanting to self-identify within like one specific like aesthetic or like ideal and that kind of stuff. And these shows very much appeal to like, for at least Pretty Little Liars, it was like the different girl. Like I'm like different and I watch stuff that's like kind of scary.
I like have a crush on my British boyfriend or my sister's British boyfriend.
And like I'm like a little bit edgy. Like I know it's a little bit scary and like the like poster for it's like black and it's dark and like I know it's a little different. And then like
and we're like Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, and then like Gossip Girl was like almost like
rich
the
prep
opposite
school.
Yeah, people were falling into these
elitist.
People were like falling into these aesthetics because they are not they were not like possible to achieve for the day-to-day person,
Yeah.
but being able to like see it and like have the characters be like interesting yet bland enough that you can like project yourself onto them was
Exactly.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's what they needed.
And
That's
I
the
never
girls
watched any
needed.
of them, and
I
I'm
didn't
glad I
either.
didn't, because they just wanted to appeal to me. But I think it definitely was like the rise of the internet being a place to like share information about others,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, that was appealing to people, I guess.
Um,
Any other things on this list we want to mention?
The OC is literally my
Oh,
favorite show
sorry.
of all time.
Yes,
I
I
have.
watched one season of it.
I literally have the whole box
I know
set
you
in
do.
my
I've
room right
been to your
now.
dorm multiple times.
But I discovered the OC because I love watching on YouTube just different clips of different shows, whether or not I had watched them or not. So I was watching like Pretty
Okay.
Little Liars clips. I was watching like just because I was like a fanfic girl, so I just loved watching two characters that like were romantically like interested but still had not met the mark yet. They were still pining. Just like
Okay.
rewatching those little clips and like seeing those kinds of things. Like
So have you
again,
watched Bridgerton? That is exactly what season 2 is. I need to make her watch it.
I have not watched it.
But that's
Um,
exactly what season 2
But
is.
that's what happened with me because I was like watching clips from like the Carrie Diaries of like Carrie and then that one guy, the
Austin
blonde.
Butler.
Yeah, whoever his character was. Like I was watching clips of them
Probably
because
Dave or something.
something, whatever. And then I found the OC and I was like, who is this tall, nerdy, curly haired brunette man and this like little bitch little girl who is like complete opposite. Yeah, he's pining over her. And then suddenly she like
All
falls in
your
love
dreams.
too. That's literally everyone's dream ever.
I only watched the show because everyone was like, "Oh my god, you're gonna go live in the OC? Like, you need to watch the OC."
I
And
s-
it's not like the OC.
It's not like the OC at all. I started watching it in high
It's
school.
the OC, but the beach.
No, it's literally the mountains or the beach. But I started watching it in high school, and then it became like my favorite show. And I went to a Goodwill once, and I literally found the whole box set of the first
Yeah,
season, and I was like,
it's
"This is
awesome.
the best moment of my entire life." Yeah,
Did you know that the Roy Donovan character voices Hercules? Ray Donovan.
is he?
The
Was
dad,
that
the
Marissa's
poor
dad?
The one who.
That's Marissa's dad.
The bank. The
Yep,
bank.
yep,
he
that's Marissa's
voices
dad.
Hercules. That is Hercules'
That's
voice. He
crazy.
sings.
Roy.
That's a singer. I learned that in my animation class. I had no
Marissa.
idea. And Hercules is one of my
Um,
favorite movies ever.
That is so crazy. And like it was the whole thing about like dramatizing the small it's not even the smallest events because they put these girls through it. They put these
Yeah.
characters through it.
Yeah.
But like the OC was for me it was enough like drama for the characters, but they made the characters feel realistic enough that I like actually empathized with them and like wanted to continue it
Yeah, that
on,
makes
even
sense.
though I knew that it's a show that ended so long ago, and I'm not getting new episodes, I'm not getting new content every
Yeah.
week now, but it still kept me interested in wanting to watch it and like. Because with shows that are like older and already done, you have to have yourself go back and watch it. Like you're
Yeah.
not going to be given the media, you're not going to be given the content
You
anymore.
have to push yourself to watch.
You have to push yourself to watch it, and that was one of those shows for me. For like a show like Gossip Girl or Pretty Little Liars, I have no motivation to watch it.
So it's over.
Yeah, because it's over, and it's like no one's gonna be like pushing
Yeah.
Pretty Little Liars down my throat.
I
Like
think that's the appeal of now big streaming services
Mhm.
and just like putting all the episodes out.
yeah, so if you're interested, the OC is on Hulu, or if you go to Chapman, I have the whole box set of every single season and a CD player or DVD player if you
A
want to
CD
watch.
player to watch DVDs. Perfect.
Um,
So we're gonna move on to college. There's a lot that we didn't talk about. There's so many things, but I think we talked about like the bigger ones. I guess kind of relate to us. But the list compared
yeah.
of high school to college is so small.
Mm-hmm.
There is so little on this college list.
Why do you think that is?
Um,
I'm scared to
can
know.
we can I answer that question after we look through them?
Yeah.
Because I think I have a response.
Uh-huh.
Okay, films. One of my favorite films of all time is Good Will Hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Except I'm not a janitor with super smart brain skills, so it's
Yeah.
not
Relatable.
relatable to me. But I think the movie's still beautiful in that it was like the underdog gets
Mm-hmm.
the underdog gets the girl is like the whole thing, and I
Mhm.
think I love that movie a lot. What the next
You're
one?
so-
Good Will Hunting and then Pitch Perfect is on the list. Pitch Perfect again appeals to me because it's like theater. It's a kind of it's singing.
It's so ironic because I literally hate musicals. I hate anything that has to do with music.
Isn't this the only one
And
that you like? This is, like, one of the
Victorious and Pitch Perfect are the only things
Yeah.
that like have anything to do with like singing and stuff, but they're two of my favorite things ever. The lore around Pitch Perfect and just everything.
crazy.
It's so.
Skylar Aniston. Oh my
I'm not kidding. It's literally the perfect movie.
Shut up.
it's like such
I
a
like
great.
the second one too, though, because second
It's-
one has Flula,
and-
we love Flula, we
and Haley
love
Steinfeld or
Flula.
whatever.
We
She's
want to
cute.
get Flula on the podcast, guys.
If that's
you know
ever
Flula-
possible, but if he wears clothes and he's not in his little speedo and he doesn't look exactly like how his calendar does,
I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Flula, if you're listening, we love you.
But I think unlike a lot of like college films, it depicts a very, very, very specific and niche group
Yeah.
of college people.
Yeah.
'Cause,
way
like,
too tiny.
Prior, obviously, when Pitch Perfect came out, we were like in elementary school. But prior to that, I do not think that there was an interest in acapella or like
Not at
wanting to
all.
watch it
Not
for
at
like
all.
just the general student. But that,
A thing I've realized, shows that are extremely popular, like I would say, what is a good example? What was the chess one? So, Queen's Gambit,
yeah,
Mr. Robot,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Shows that, or
Oh.
Ted Lasso is another good example. Shows that make something interesting that I wouldn't necessarily be interested
Yeah.
in, like soccer. What is this?
Acapella.
Acapella. I have no
Yeah.
interest in doing acapella.
Oh,
I have
yeah,
no
yeah,
interest
yeah.
in
I
playing
know what
like
you're
chess
saying.
professionally. But like, if you make a movie about it that's extremely interesting, now I have an interest. Now I
Yeah.
want to sing acapella,
You
and I
have-
will know I will never be able to.
you have to see that at least one individual can be successful in it
Yeah.
and like can actually make something of it for you to want to give it a try. Like you have to, it has to prove to me that it's worth watching.
Yeah.
And like being interested in. And Pitch Perfect is so, it's just so good.
Yes,
And
it's
why and
very
for
good.
what?
Okay, next, I said this before, Social Network is a horrible example.
It's so bad because
It's
who
just
the
making Facebook, and I think they tried to make it like college,
no,
and then it was
yeah.
like college, but we're actually smart, and
Yeah,
like
and
we
they got-
invent apps, and we're billionaires.
they got like the misogynistic gross men part like
Yeah,
down
they
because that
nailed
was
it.
like the whole point of
They
Facebook in the
nailed
first
it.
place.
Rooney Mara.
Oh my god, I forgot. That's the
She was in
girlfriend,
it for
right?
Barely a second, yeah.
But then that one like those two or how many conversations that they have with each other
Are good.
actually gnarly and painful.
Yeah.
And like, how is he not embarrassed?
He should be embarrassed. Are you not embarrassed? Are you not ashamed?
Yeah,
We don't talk about Army Hammer in that movie,
Mm,
but
both of them.
both rowers, both of the Army Hammer.
Both of the
There's
Army
two of
Hammers.
them.
Yeah.
I just think it's an interesting movie depicting a true event, but like to try and call it, a depiction of college life is very inaccurate.
Yeah, and the fact that I don't know how long it is. Like, shall I guess that it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours?
two- for 2 hours.
Literally, probably 10 minutes or 20 minutes of the whole thing has them actually in college, which shows that it's not a college.
Yeah.
An accurate depiction of college.
Okay, next. I love Happy Death Day.
I remember I was interested in it because he had that one guy who was in To All the Boys.
Yeah.
Israel Broussard.
We love
I
him. He
wanted
looks like every other guy.
No, yeah. That's like the only reason why I was like remotely interested, but I never watched it.
I wouldn't say it's a college film either. I just think it's a horror set in college, but I wanted to mention it because I really
Yeah.
like it. Just another movie recommendation.
Yeah.
Always
if you
giving
want
out
if you
recs.
want a Groundhog Day esque vibe
Yes.
that isn't
I like
Groundhog
movies
Day.
that make Groundhog Day fun.
Yeah.
Next I have Whiplash.
Again, same thing with Social Network.
This isn't even. I don't think it's a college. It's like a conservatory school program for
Same age. They're all experiencing
the
like
20s and up
adulthood.
or
yeah.
the 18s and up.
Yeah.
But it's funny to me.
It's, like,
Like I watched it the first time and I was scared, and now I just look back and I'm like, this would never happen.
no,
Would it?
it's scary.
Or
yeah.
does it happen? I don't know. Juilliard peeps listening.
Yeah. We are art hoes.
Yes.
But not that.
Not that much.
Not that.
I wrote down Dead Poet Society.
Was that
I've
college
never
or was it-
watched it? I think it's high school. My dad said it was
I
high
think
school, so it is high school.
yeah,
I
it's
thought
like
it was college.
it's a
I
boarding
thought it was
school.
a college
How
English
have
class.
you never
Boarding
seen
school is what okay, that's what I thought.
boarding school, high
Okay.
school?
Okay,
You've really never. I feel like you would love it.
I probably would.
It's
Maybe
so
I'll-
good,
I'll add
dude.
it to the list.
I remember I was shown it in middle school or like high school or something, and all of the girls were obsessed. All of the girls were
Well, 'cause
making
it's
like
just boys.
they were exactly.
Boys
Do you
with
remember?
poetry.
Do you remember?
Boys and
Exactly,
poetry.
exactly. Do you remember my high school environment?
Yes.
All girls, all of us were like, "Oh my god, wow!" Like in my school, and they actually are like emotionally vulnerable. That's crazy and bananas. These girls were like making fan accounts for
good.
Dead Poet Society,
Good.
and I was like, what is going
Good.
on?
Good. They deserve.
No,
They
they
deserve
do.
the fan accounts. Legally Blonde.
It's so good.
It's like math. That's a law school, so I guess it's not really. It's college. It's like
No, but
adult
it's still-
college. It's
isn't
adulter
she
college.
supposed to be at like a CSU, like UCLA kind of
I
moment.
thought it was like Harvard.
No, it was like, remember she was at whatever some California school and she was studying like fashion, and then they were like, she can't get in. She's
Yeah.
a fashion girl.
Yeah.
But it's so good. Even though like her reasoning and motivation, in the end, she found that she actually had a passion for it.
Yeah.
And
I just think the good thing about it was like anyone can do anything they want if they try hard enough. And even though the middle part where she gets into Harvard is probably like never gonna happen to anyone, you can't just like to me the musical version is like you can't just sing your way into Harvard.
Or like how that board was like, oh, actually maybe the one guy who actually like argues for her on
Yeah.
behalf of her and like wants her to be in there, not gonna happen.
No,
Not gonna happen.
But I think the fact that it's like there's so many girls on TikTok now that are very much girly girl, pink. I love everything pink
Mhm.
sparkles and fashion, and are also like badass law students.
I saw that
and I think
too.
that I
Yeah,
don't
the
know
motivation,
the idea that you
inspiration.
can't, the idea that you can't wear fun outfits and like fashion and
Do s-
makeup and be in law,
Or do like literally anything that is dominated by
men.
men.
And I think that movie just like brought up girls' confidence.
Yeah,
but
and
also romance.
It was.
They're making a new one. Did we talk about this? They're making
Yeah,
like
we
a fourth one?
did. And Jennifer Coolidge, duh, literally
Yeah.
perfect woman.
Oh, yeah,
She
that's
is
true.
so good, but
Not an
It's
accurate depiction, but
not at all.
hopeful.
Yeah,
Hopeful. Is a
and
good
like
word.
the whole when they were in court scene and she was like
Yeah.
when she got her, was that what's her name? She was also in
remember. Something.
Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, I don't know. her
The
name.
girl.
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember. Anyways, I think that's her. But
Another college movie, The After movies, the After trilogy.
I'm actually terrified that you added this in.
I've only watched the first one.
I read it. Did I
See,
just
when
admit
someone
that
says they read it, I don't. To me, like I know you read it, but like, did you read the fanfic? or
Yes, I
the
read it on
book?
Wattpad.
Because there's like two different kinds of people that like read it on Wattpad and then followed it through the creation of
No.
the books, and then there's people who heard about it and read the books and then are like forget that they're Wattpad books. I don't know.
No, I was a fanfic girl. I was a One Direction girl. Like it was inevitable, babes. That I was
I
reading
never read them.
on Wattpad though. That lady, she wrote like 100 chapters for like each one.
Doesn't Harry Styles have like a restraining order against her?
No, he should because I mean,
It's about Harry Styles. It's a series about Harry Styles and One Direction in college.
yeah, it's the
pretend.
whole like bad
And
boy
Taylor Swift.
trope. Yeah, it's just get your bag, I guess, but like Harry to Harden. Why couldn't just try a different?
She's not
name?
even getting her bag. She got taken off the film.
She did.
She got taken off the second, like the first, like the second and third ones.
It's
It's just bad. It's just bad. It's bad.
No, it's like it's almost like a Euphoria thing where it's like how can we put as many bad things that could possibly happen into one thing,
Yeah, including bad acting.
including bad acting. It's like I don't know. It's so weird. It's like the whole thing is almost like let's make this girl experience the worst stuff, and that's why we should empathize with her, not because she's a good person
Yeah.
or because she's like
Or
morally
has any personality.
Yeah, exactly.
All the characters are bland because
Yeah.
you're supposed to pretend that they're One Direction members. I think in the reading that might have been more fun, but the movie is just like their face value.
Yeah, in reading it though, as I cannot believe I just admitted that, but as a One Direction stan, if you didn't read it, like, what are you doing?
I have a One Direction stand. I did not read it.
But then again, good for you because the whole thing that it came out at like a time where like there's also big discussion as it was getting like published, and then when it was becoming and
The
being
books.
pitched as films,
Oh.
that like why are we normalizing this behavior?
Yeah,
Like, do you know like how it actually went down and like
I've heard the stories.
it's like the things that she was writing about and like having the protagonist girl experience, Tessa's her name, I
Yeah.
think, experience at the hands of him, his character it's gruesome and disgusting and horrible. And I was like, why are we normalizing this? Like, even if
they
we
try
are
to make it better in the movies. But
yeah, like why even though they did change like a majority of it, why do you still want to see it? Why do you still want to
again,
see
it's
like
a cash grab. Like
Yeah.
it's the only way I can imagine it is a cash grab, and they
Yeah.
know that the people that read it are gonna go watch it.
it's so yeah, just
Don't do it.
don't. It's on Netflix.
Don't do it.
Don't yeah.
The next, the shows.
The only
This
one
is
that matters.
The reason, like, I think this is like the reason that this episode exists.
Yeah.
is because of Normal People. The show.
um
I cannot speak enough words
Yeah.
about the show Normal People.
no, if you are a teenager or like a young adult right now
I would
and you
say a
have not,
mature teenager. If you're silly
Yeah.
and goofy all the time and can't like be
You're not
serious
gonna-
for a moment, you're not gonna like.
you're not gonna understand it. And like if you're the kind of person that likes to read books before you watch series,
Read the book.
read the book, but then also go into it knowing that the structure is not going to be as like a normal book is.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's just different in so many different ways and varying ways.
Yeah, it is probably my favorite show of all time. Like I say, BoJack Horseman is too, but I think those two are like the on the
No,
same
I
level for me.
remember when this came out on Hulu and I watched
Binge watched it.
I binge watched.
one day.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely could not move.
No, deadass. Like I did not eat all day. I remember after it was done, it was like right before I was supposed to have dinner, and I like couldn't get
When
up.
did it come out?
Like
Look it up.
physically, I was so weak, and emotionally, I was so weak
Because
that I could not
so
move.
one of the things I think the ending of the show. Okay, it came out in April 2020, so literally COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
So, spoiler, if you haven't seen it, sorry, watch it. It's a book.
Mm.
It's been out. The ending, like when I watch shows, I usually think that the characters will end up together.
Mhm.
Like you imagine that the characters will end up together.
Yeah.
For some reason, I like depressing things where
Mhm.
it ends in a way that you wouldn't expect, and it ends with
Right.
these characters, going their separate lives after we literally watched like 11 episodes of them going through like literally turmoil,
No. Yeah.
like highs and lows, everything. The highs and lows of,
Of
high
high
school
school.
football. We literally they literally went through the highs and lows of high school football and then didn't stay together. And that's just so
It's so because the solution. It's so much easier said than done. I understand that.
Yeah.
Even as someone like in a relationship, like it's so
Hi Matthew.
easy. It's so easy to say that like your problems can be solved via communication, but if both of you aren't willing to admit it or like acknowledge it in
Yeah.
any way, this is me getting into like the actual show.
Okay, let's describe the show first. Because I think
Okay.
we could just spend the rest of the episode.
Yeah, because first of all, Normal People isn't even set in America. It's set in Ireland, in the
Yes.
UK. So
Dublin.
So the environment in which their college versus university are very different.
Yes. So the show spans a lot of years. It starts in
Mhm.
like early
High
high school and it
school.
goes till post college.
Mhm.
So to me, like they use the same actors in the show and in the book, obviously. it's
And
just
usually
Stephen Hex.
that does not work, but for
No.
this, it totally did.
Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones
No.
did something.
I was gonna say, like, if you are kind of like, if you've been following all just different media and stuff, this is where kind of Daisy Edgar Jones like
Got her
got her. This is like her first step in.
Yeah.
basically.
And it just follows them, starting off as little high school kids, not really knowing what feelings are, not really knowing what relationships pertain, scared of telling people in school, the effects
Mhm.
of their friends
Yeah,
and family on like
Mhm.
their relationships, and then
having those kind of like morals and like thoughts and ideas sticking with them, and having to try and traverse them and like go against them, but then also feeling the guilt and like shame
yeah.
and like exploring things that you grew up and were being told that
Yeah.
was not acceptable to
And
do.
the hardest thing to accept, like when you watch the show, is like they're not meant for each other.
Yeah.
The whole time, like you, like I actually just got chills saying that because you watch the show and they are so like it's not even toxic is the right word to describe it. They just don't fit well together, but they love each other so
Yeah.
much that is what causes all of this trouble that they have. And to me, like I'd rather have that experience
Mhm.
with someone than like 100 just
Yeah.
random
People.
things. I'd rather
It's-
have a horrible
One-
span of one time knowing exactly what works and what doesn't work than like I don't know.
Yeah,
me.
it's just it's literally, oh my god. Like thinking about it, I've only watched it once.
I've only
like I can't watch it
It
again.
is. It's oh boy.
No, and like
The
if
emotional
you want to, if
trauma.
any of our Chapman people want to read it, we
I
both
have the
have
book.
copies. It's our library. Like y'all can borrow it. No, but emotionally, this is one of the like the biggest and like top things that have like affected me.
And the
and,
funny
like-
thing is, these characters like barely talk.
Yeah.
There is so much just eye contact, body language,
And just like like stagnant, just
Yeah.
like letting the characters breathe and just like having to see their reactions to each
Yeah,
other.
And I think that's what it goes against what a lot of like other shows have done, where it's like always constant conversation and
Yeah.
like, constantly back and forth.
It's the whole idea of like trying to make the most of like how long is an episode. Like this is a Hulu like
It's
short.
like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's like a lot of shows try to make the most of your time,
Yeah.
but like they make the most of
They
your
breathe.
time to let them breathe and let them
Yeah.
just literally be humans.
Also, precursor, there is a lot of sexual content.
there is
in the show, but again,
But it-
normal people, it happens. Sorry,
exactly.
It's a relationship. It depicts like literally every single minute of a relationship.
Yeah, and it's not really dramatizing it. I would argue it's not trying to dramatize
not.
it in any way, like how
Because it's not glorified. Every
yeah,
single,
glorified. That's the
like
better
every
word.
single sex scene I've ever seen in a show,
No,
movie, TV
okay,
show
This is like
is glorified.
we had on the shows for high school we had Sex Education, and
Oh,
it's
yeah,
in the
yeah.
same realm where it's like those are two shows are just two pieces of media that like show how awkward and gross and scary and like intimidating going into those kinds of intimate relationships are.
Yeah.
And like watching it as someone who had like, you know, we're all just like young people kind of like just figuring stuff out, especially literally came out in the middle of quarantine when we're all isolated and alone and
Touch
like
deprived.
scared, yeah, touch deprived,
Yeah.
just scared of like facing anyone just in person. It like there's a sense of comfort in it and knowing that it's like not weird to
Yeah.
like be.
Well, it is weird, but that's how it is. It's
Yeah.
just weird.
It's just weird, yeah. It's one of those things that wasn't glorifying it, and it actually furthered the plot.
Yes.
Like it shows that. Because in real life, this is what literally happens. It's normal people.
Yeah,
like
literally. The show, the title is the best way to describe the show.
yeah,
Normal people.
when you're kind of like when you're exploring kind of that like those intimate parts of your life, it's like a change. It's a new chapter, literally.
And
like
those are not the things that are shown on television or on
Mm-mm.
TV shows. They show the exciting, extremely unique parts. Like literally, why am I thinking about Riverdale right now? They never show this stuff on Riverdale. They show the guy getting murdered down the street or whatever. It's like this is literally a camera look into two people's lives and every moment of it. They're not highlighting
Yeah.
any specific parts. They're not they're not decreasing the
And it's
importance of any
also-
parts.
see, literally we have 2 minutes left and we're just getting into normal people. But it's like it also shows that when you're in this kind of relationship or you're like doing these kinds of things, like your emotions are not just like tied between you two. It affects every single other decision,
Exactly.
every single other moment, every
Yeah.
single other relationship you have in your life.
And I think the best way to say this is that it's a great depiction of high school and college like
Yeah.
relationships.
if any recommendations you take, I don't know why we haven't done an episode on it.
Just normal people.
Yeah.
We could.
But normal people, it's on Hulu.
Best
Daisy Edgar
recommendation.
Jones, Paul Mescal,
Yes.
incredible.
We didn't talk about a lot of the things we want to talk about because there's just a lot.
But we went in depth as much as we wanted to, which is
Yes. So tune in next week to our Euphoria episode.
officially.
Our official Euphoria episode. Maddie will finish it, I promise.
Yes.
We're gonna have the YouTube live streaming set up again, probably.
We're
'cause I
gonna
think this is fun seeing
and
myself.
This stream is going to be published on the Chapman Radio
Yeah.
YouTube account, so you will be able to listen and watch if you want.
Yes.
But thank you all so much for tuning in
Thank you guys.
again.
Follow us on Instagram at Girls on Film Radio.
Yes, and my show tomorrow, Pierce Radio, every Wednesday from 5 to 6.
Yes,
Come
yes,
hang with me
yes.
if you want to listen to some tunes and hear me ramble
Okay.
again.
Bye,
Have a good day. Bye.
guys.